This is Buff Sports Live. My name is Mitchell Sanchez alongside Jake Moff from the CUI for his first time on the desk. Jake, how do you feel?
I feel great, Mitch. So, I heard that the studio flooded recently?
That's true. This is our second week without a studio. This week we're in Folsom Field, although it's hard to tell with the backdrop here. Anyway, let's get right into it. The Arizona State football game. It's safe to say this game was circled on the schedule for the Buffs this season as they were looking for revenge. Last season's loss to Arizona State for the Buffs football team was arguably the worst of the season. In the big win over ASU last weekend, Laviska Shenault could not be stopped again. Shenault racked up 13 catches for 137 yards, 5 carries for 13 yards, and 4 total touchdowns. That makes him the first Colorado receiver to ever record multiple rushing and receiving touchdowns in the same game. Montez was 24 for 33 with 328 yards and 2 touchdowns, and McMillan carried the ball 30 times for 136 yards. Final score, 28 Buffs, 21 Sun Devils.
Mitch and I, we like football. We like when they make the touchdowns and do the interceptions. But to truly understand the sport, we must turn to those with X-ray vision. I'm talking about the future tellers, the connection makers, the guys who know the name, number, and position of every player on that team. Here's James Margulis and Jack Stern with an in-depth analysis on the Arizona State football game.
I'm James Margulis alongside Jack Stern here at Folsom Field after the Colorado Buffaloes defeated the Arizona State Sun Devils by a score of 28-21. And one of the biggest takeaways from this game was the Thunder and Lightning duo in the backfield for the Buffaloes becoming more of just a Thunder running game as Trayvon McMillan carried the ball 30 times for 136 yards, while Kyle Evans only totaled 3 yards on 3 carries.
Yeah, well, you saw today what's so special about Trayvon McMillan. Once the Buffs get a lead late in the fourth quarter, he helps them milk the clock down and put the game on ice, really. He's a guy who's good at wearing down the defense. He makes a lot of men miss, and he's going to be an important piece of this team going forward.
And after the targeting call and ejection on linebacker Nate Lambden, the Buffaloes defense had to step up there, and we certainly saw that from Drew Lewis as he totaled 8 tackles on the day, which was a team high.
Yeah, well, you know, James, when Nate Landman was ejected, one would have thought that the Buffs' run defense, and especially their run defense, would have taken a step back. But how they responded speaks so much to the leadership and chemistry in the locker room and their ability to adjust on the fly, both schematically and personnel-wise. They did a really good job in his absence, getting around the corners, not letting the running backs get out in space. And it was you have to give some credit to defensive coordinator DJ Elliott.
From Jack and I here at Folsom Field, this is Buff Sports Live.
With another win for the football team this past weekend. The undefeated Buffs moved up in the national rankings. CU is ranked 19th in the AP poll and 18th in the USA Today poll. 4 teams in the Pac-12 joined the Buffs in the national polls, with Washington coming in at 7th, Oregon at 17th, and Stanford at 24th in the USA Today poll, but Stanford's not ranked in the AP poll. They held a number 7 spot just 2 weeks ago, and now they're unranked.
Of the 129 NCAA D1 football subdivision teams, only 11 remain undefeated, including the Buffs. All 11 of these teams are ranked on the AP Top 25. But for our trivia question today, we're interested in the ranked teams without a perfect record. The question is, who is the highest ranked football team without an undefeated record? The answer may shock, surprise, and appall you.
Since joining the Pac-12 in 2011, Colorado has not defeated the USC Trojans in 7 contests. But with the Buffs getting off to a hot start, things seem bound to change in the near future. While CU is atop the division, ranking 19th in the country, the Trojans' season is off to a shaky 3-2 start. USC's young team, led by freshman quarterback JT Daniels, has struggled to put up points against national powerhouses Texas and Stanford. However, they've turned things around in the past 2 weeks, winning close games against conference rivals Arizona and Washington State. Colorado is coming off 2 big conference wins against UCLA and Arizona State. Despite their noticeable difference in record, the Buffs traveled to the Coliseum as 7-point underdogs. Not only does Colorado have a chance to beat USC for the first time in program history, but they can also solidify their place as the best team in the South with a victory.
The Buffs take on the USC Trojans this weekend in the Coliseum in LA to continue their Pac-12 schedule. After that, the Buffs will head to Washington to take on the Huskies and Jake Browning. In the last month of the regular season, the Buffs will take on Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah, and Cal to close it out.
That's all for football, though. That's all the football for today. Coming up after the break, a recap of the basketball media days.
And we'll be right back on BuffSports. And we'll be right back on BuffSports Live.
3, 2, 1, we're clear.
Hey Rach, have you heard about the BuffSports Live desk troll?
There's no such thing, Jake.
Oh my God, in 1992, he bit an anchor's foot clean off during the show.
No way.
She mispronounced a name! We're back on BuffSports Live. Unbelievable women's basketball game last night.
Wendy D. Kenner was amazeballs.
Well, the show must go on. She had a triple-double in 60 minutes of play as the Buffs went on to win.
The men's and women's basketball teams start their seasons with The men's and women's basketball teams start their seasons with non-conference matches in less than a month. The women's team holds an exhibition on October 29th, while the men's team faces the School of Mines on November 3rd. In preparation for these seasons, the Pac-12 hosted its annual basketball media days for each team. Our very own Vinay Simlot has more.
Or I guess we don't have more. The men's club hockey team faced 2 Oklahoma teams last weekend and suffered 3 losses. First was the University of Central Oklahoma on October 4th. UCO's Cody Hodgson made his second game goal with 5 minutes left in the match, and the Buffs were unable to close that margin. The next 2 matches were against the University of Oklahoma. On Saturday, a goal from Michael Beam with 3 minutes left in the third moved the action to a shootout, where Sooner Raymond Wilson wrapped it all up. The Sunday game entered its shootout at a 1-1 stalemate after a Colorado goal with 7 minutes left in the second. This time, it was Sooner Clayton Brown who scores it. To recap, a 3-2 loss last Thursday against the University of Central Oklahoma, a 4-3 loss in a shootout on Friday against the University of Oklahoma, and another loss on Saturday, again against the Sooners, again in a shootout, this time 2-1.
From the football field to the hockey rink, James Margulis is hungry for that scoop. Here's a special interview with Oklahoma goalie Phil Babb after the Saturday shootout.
So we are here with Phil Babb, our player of the game, and you played a great game going into overtime and shootout. What's your mentality in a situation like that?
Don't mess up, honestly. I mean, the guys have been battling hard for 65 minutes back-to-back nights. You just don't want to be that one to let the team down. So just stay on top of your job and not let the team down. That's what's going through the head.
And you faced a lot of shots tonight, but you came up. How do you stay on your game even when you face so many shots today?
You just got to breathe, man. You just got to get back to the basics, and, it's just a game. We've been practicing this all year round, and stick to the basics.
And you look great today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of your
Appreciate
season.
it. Thank you very much, man.
And go enjoy this victory with your team.
After the break, we've got soccer, volleyball, and cross country.
Plus, the golf results at the Paintbrush Invitational. Stay tuned.
We are the University of Colorado sailing team, and still the only college sailing team in Colorado. Last year, we traveled to 5 regattas and hosted our own using a fleet we bought with community support.
This year, we're raising money to purchase a safety boat that will take care of our sailors and lead effective practices to get them in tip-top shape to kick-start regattas.
Weather changes happen quickly in Colorado, so we need to be prepared in case anyone ends up in the water. A safety boat with a proper engine will help make sure we can get people and boats to safety in the event of a capsize.
Safety is our team's top priority, and this boat will help us prepare for worst-case scenarios. This boat will put us on track for being the safest, the fastest, and the most effective team in our conference.
Donate today to help us reach our $4,000 goal and get CU Sailing motorboating. Share to everyone you know to spread the word. Your help will be on our way to be a safer and more successful program.
Well, if you went to the soccer game against Washington last weekend, you got some free soccer. The Buffs and Huskies went into double overtime before winning on a Jorian Balcom goal. Balcom had both of Colorado's goals, her 10th and 11th goals of the season. Colorado's defense stepped up in overtime periods, not allowing Washington to get a single shot on goal. Boy, what a game.
Colorado had a split against the Cal schools last weekend. First, the Cal Buffs on Friday. The Buffs won 3-2 after losing 2 of the first 3 sets, but rallied behind 17 kills by Alexis Smith and 14 from Justine Spann.
The game on Saturday didn't go as well, with the Cardinal coming into the match only losing 2 sets. The Buffs kept them close in each set, but lost 3-0. Spann and Smith killed it with 18 and 17 respectively. The Buffs' next game is right here tonight against the Oregon Ducks.
The cross-country team is getting ready for nationals by going to the pre-national invitational in Madison, Wisconsin, beginning on Saturday at 9 a.m. Next up for the Buffs, they have the Pac-12 tournament in Stanford on October 26th.
The men's golf team finished 4th at Denver's Paintbrush Invitational on Tuesday, concluding the fall portion of their season. The tournament wasn't without its share of weather troubles, including frost delays, low temperatures, and rain. Colorado State came on top of the 12-team competition with a 6 over par and a team score of 870. CU was preceded by Oregon.
Well, coming up after the break, we have the 3 T's: tennis, trivia, and tweets.
And I'm getting word right now that Zach Gilman broke into our old flooded studio for this week's Rapid Fire.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mic up on 2. All right, take 1. And fade camera 2. Take 3. Ready, red. Roll red. Take cam 1. Take red. Take it. Come on, roll red. Let's go. All right.
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just calling the show.
There's no show.
Did I do okay there? Did I recover?
I think Zach is still there right now in our old flooded studio. This is Rapid Fire.
To kick off the weekend, the women's volleyball team is looking to knock off the 14th ranked Oregon Ducks tonight at 7 at the CU Events Center. Alexis Smith leads the team with 236 kills and 179 digs. Justine Spann is second in both categories with 199 kills and 162 digs. They will also host Oregon State on Sunday afternoon at 2. The cross-country team heads to Madison, Wisconsin on Saturday to race the Badgers. The women have taken over the #1 ranking this weekend, while the men sit at number 11. The women's soccer team looks to keep rolling against Oregon here in Boulder at Prentup Field on Saturday at 1 o'clock. After beating the previously undefeated and 7th-ranked Washington State Cougars, as well as a double overtime win against Washington Huskies, the Buffs moved up 4 spots in the national rankings to number 16. The 19th-ranked football team looks to stay undefeated this weekend as they take on the USC Trojans. Laviska Shenault looked great once again, scoring 4 touchdowns in their win against Arizona State and is making his way up the Heisman watch board. The game this weekend will be at the Coliseum at 8:30 on Saturday night. I'm Zach Gilman, and thanks for watching Rapid Fire.
4 women's tennis Buffs are competing in the Intercollegiate Tennis Association Mountain Region Championships on the UNLV campus in Las Vegas. The pair of doubles teams won on Thursday, paving the way for 3 singles wins. Monica Malinin and Vera Marikovic beat by BYU 8-5, while Annabelle Andronopoulos and Megan Forrester beat Nevada 8-2. Andronopoulos, Marilyn, and Marikovic all triumphed in their singles matches later that day. All 4 players played on Thursday, with Foster and Adrianopoulos falling to Denver 6-7. Malinin and Marikovic overcame Utah 8-6. The ITA wraps up on Sunday with the championship matches.
And now for the answer to that trivia question. As a reminder, the question was, who is the highest ranked football team without an undefeated record? If you know your football, this should have been easy. Washington, the highest ranked team in the Pac-12, is also the highest ranked team with a loss in the AP poll at number 7. Their only loss was to Auburn in their first non-conference match, meaning they're a team with a 5-game win streak, just like the Buffs. The Washington and Auburn match was close, 21-16, the Tigers only succeeding because of a touchdown by Jatarvius Whittal with 6 minutes left.
Our tweet of this week comes from the men's basketball team, showing Tad Boyle, McKinley Wright, and Evan Batty at the Pac-12 tournament. And if we look a little closer, we'll see our friend Pat Rooney from the Daily Camera, looking a little perplexed. I wonder why. Anyway, Rooney had a sense of humor about it, saying, "Man, I thought I was safely out of the shot." Fun. Well, the time has come, and like all good things, BuffSports Live must come to an end. I had a fun time this week, Mitch. Thanks for having me. How was today's show for you?
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great weekend, and see you next week.